All right, so in closing on Kendrick Lamar, I just want to reiterate what my points were about the GNX album, what I think about his diss to Wayne, him flashing Lil Wayne the cards and kind of let him know, I'm going to neutralize that one power you got. You got a certain power everybody respect, but I know how to neutralize it. I know how to make them look at it a certain way with this narrative attached to it, the same way I did your little homie. Again, I think Wayne in his current form rapping, he can do that all day. This is more than a rap. You have to be a cerebral thinker. You got to have peak perspective to operate in some of these arenas. And I would think Wayne would need help from that perspective as it pertains to structuring a plan. But artists, pay attention to intros. Make sure your intro is always on point. It is a vocal point of your album. If we even look at Dreams and Nightmares from Meek, some of these intros are the reason that album sets that standard and tone. Drake does a great intro. Like, please, you guys, pay attention to intros. Also, ad-libs. Intros, ad-libs, and get creative. You don't have to change your tone. Maybe you close your mouth when you're saying it to make it sound like that 50 Cent vibe. You got to just get creative. And that's just something I'm giving the artist from my perspective. I just want to install things in the game as we speak. And so now I want to move on to the lawsuits that Drake has filed against UMG. I want to have a high-level conversation. I don't want to really deal with the casual conversations. I don't really want to cater to the casual listener. I don't even want to cater to the industry pundits. I literally want to have a conversation surrounding business and the developments that we are seeing taking place up to this minute as of right now. Drake has 2 different lawsuits out on UMG, one of those being for defamation for the Not Like Us, and that one came later after him alleging the fact that they have pumped and ran up Not Like Us, which is a song by Kendrick Lamar that not only defamed him, but spoke to the formula that's been used in the music business since the music business inception. I think today some people, this will be the first time that they hear and learn about what a zero sum total means. And also they'll get a glimpse as to what it's like behind the scenes in the music business. For me, I'm going to kind of try to talk about the fact that some of these practices are prevalent in the business. And also as a company, you have a responsibility to allocate the resources in a way where the people that are on that company feel that they have had a fair shot along with your flagship people, or you have to handle those things in a way, man, because you can get sued. I remember Charlamagne coming on the show and telling y'all, like, certain things in emails can literally get you sued. And this is not even in contracts. This is just in emails. And so you're binded to your word in this business. Drake being someone that has benefited off the formula that he's now having in question. I think this is going to be a very interesting ride to see exactly where we end up at moving forward. This thing is so layered, right? This is a very layered circumstance once you get out of your feelings. Now, I want to be clear on the front end and say these lawsuits that Drake have filed, it's all about how you view them, right? If I view these like the attack on Kendrick from losing the battle, I don't like them and it's sucker shit. If I view this like there's some business behind it, I got to take a deeper look at it. I don't want to just dismiss the fact that, hey, hold on, whoa. Maybe some of these industry people who Drake has been in bed with has promised some things that they didn't deliver on. Because if it was just defamation and only defamation, that would speak to the Kendrick Lamar losing of the battle. But there's some other things in this lawsuit that I think we may want to address. We may want to look into. And so for the sake of conversation, I want to explore them because my job is to what? Deposit into the game, to elevate the game, take it to its peak. I'm pushing peak perspective. You see what I'm saying? The first thing I said when the lawsuit came out was, it feels nasty. It feels nasty. It feels like it's trying to stop Not Like Us. For any of the industry people that's ever sent the cease and desist, I don't think that any of you guys have any room to speak about this Not Like Us debacle that Drake finds himself in, because he's playing the same kind of games that you guys play. You're right. The industry calls for certain games. I don't really think that. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, there's a lot of business at stake. There's a lot of business at stake. These claims are unfounded. It felt like Drake wanted to stop Kendrick Lamar from being able to perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. It felt like he knew that there would be a lot to deal with. That's a lot to deal with. Everyone in the world is watching the Super Bowl. People that don't even deal with rap, don't care about rap. All of these individuals are watching the Super Bowl. I cannot allow you to get up there and do that Not Like Us. The only way you tell white people that it's serious is you send paperwork. They don't give a damn about all that other shit y'all talking about. You better send some paperwork. NFL, man, they don't bar none. So now it makes you think, how is Jay-Z relationship with the NFL? If they're getting sent paperwork, like, why would you do this? I'm wondering if Jay-Z is in a position to where he's been questioned. Like, is there any cause for concern? Is our act going to be able to do everything that we anticipated them to do? And maybe in the back office, they're looking at all of this like publicity, because there's no way that NFL is going to be held accountable. Jay is probably saying, yo, the song is not going to be played. The paperwork is sent. The song's not going to be played. Let's not worry about that. Now, everything that they're doing is just promotion. We may not never come out and say the song is not going to be played, because that generates the eyeballs, right? And it's still, again, I told you when I came in, you pay with your eyeballs. You don't got to bring me $5. Just look. I'll figure a way to get the money out. You pay with your eyeballs. I always remember I said that. I want to take you guys into what Joe Budden podcast was speaking about as it pertains to Drake's exit. I think this is a kind of great conversation. I'm going to add our perspective to it. Let me see if I can bring this in some. It's a lot being said. A lot of people have a lot of talking points, and I want to address some of the things that's actually also being said online about this whole Drake exit, what he's done, what he hasn't done while he's ran alongside Universal. Because I will admit, it has been alarming, the lack of developing business that's running alongside the biggest artists in the world. But I want to give another perspective on that. I want to say, well, hold on. We're trying to get this formula right. This is how they got Kanye. This is how they get everyone else. When you start throwing more and more stuff into the fire. So if y'all saying bring one pie for $2, I'm going to continue to bring one pie for $2 until I reach the $20 mark that we have agreed upon. Now, this is going to be important later on into this conversation, because I'm here to say not the defamation part of whatever Drake is talking about, but I'm here to speak to the lawsuit on the record labels and speak to the formula that I believe that they had in place. I think that Drake is feeling like he's dealing with deception, and have been for the last decade or so. And the reason I say that is because of the lack of developing business, running alongside someone with that kind of star power and that kind of leverage in the market that's making other people's careers. Like, I'm going to breathe on you and you'll go on tour for 10 years. I'm going to breathe on that. That's going to do good. I'm going to wear that Jordan. That's going to go. But I haven't developed anything on my own. I truly believe that's because the business on the back end hasn't allowed me to do so. When I look at Drake, I'm saying maybe Drake is not unloading all of his ideas on purpose, because Drake is of Jewish descent. There's no way in the world you're going to make me believe that there's no one around him that, number one, understands the entertainment business and how to pivot from it. Also, how to capitalize on having the biggest brand in the world, or one of the biggest brands in the world, barring none. And then when you couple that with Drake hasn't even did any acting. He hasn't did any real business. I mean, he's took some checks, of course, along the way, but I'm talking about actually build something in the same way that Jay-Z and some of those guys do. You hear people speak about Jay and his business acumen and how he diversified his portfolio while still rapping. I don't think it calls for Drake at this point, because I'm sticking to this formula. I'm going to see how much I can get from this formula before I turn any of this other shit on that I can turn on. Now, is Drake someone that may have too much confidence to think that they can never turn it off, or it can't be turned off? I don't know if he's ignorant of thinking that. You have them in your pocket. They're giving you deals that they haven't gave out ever. You got Larry Jackson that's saying that your catalog, Drake, is worth more than the 60s, 70s, and 80s music all put together. So you got a certain amount of value when you deal with Drake. When I look at the business of him, right, because you remember Drake came in through Jay Prince or one of the Prince people. So let's be clear, Jake has worked himself out of a lot of deals and worked from up under a lot. He was buried in bullshit deals. His talent just made him keep ripping contracts up. When you're that talented, that new in the game, and that valuable, no matter which way you turn, there's likely some deception involved in some of these interactions, right? They wanted me to learn from Baby. They wanted me to take it from Baby, but I seen what Baby and Wayne went through. That scared me. They wanted me to go through Prince and them to do it, but I heard what Scarface and them said when they dealt with Prince. They wanted me to go over there and mess with Jay, but I heard what Dame said, and I'm his competition. I might be. You see, so Drake was in a hell of a position. You heard him talk, right? Him and Diddy was into it. I don't see him being someone that's a people person that know how to finesse. You know, Jay know how to finesse a little bit better. You know, Jay can get in here in these rooms and at least make you feel like you'll see me again. You may not never see him ever again. But while you here with me, it'll feel like I'll talk to you tomorrow. And so what you got to remember is if I'm Drake and the jump shot is working, yo, if the jump shot is wet, my defense can lack into the championship rounds. And guess what? Drake is in the championship rounds. The latter part, 15th, 16th year, 17th year. See, these the championship rounds. If you even can make it this far with that little shit y'all doing, right? If your raps can even get you 15 years and you still going platinum in year 16, you still one of the highest streaming people in year 14, these things are unprecedented. And it's a very small club of people that can even tell you how to navigate these things. Jump back into this conversation about Lil Wayne. Again, I want to reintroduce what I was speaking about with Kendrick and Lil Wayne. So for people who are not aware, Kendrick just dropped an album called GNX. What we're dealing with is a song called Wacced Out Murals. For people who are not familiar with the scenario, Kendrick Lamar just was announced by the NFL and Jay-Z Rock Nation Sports that he would be the headline performer for the halftime show for the Super Bowl in February. This became a shock to some fans because the Super Bowl is in New Orleans and Lil Wayne, being a monumental artist from the South, is also from New Orleans. Those expectations as to why Lil Wayne should have got that position to do the Super Bowl came from Jay-Z being at the head of making those decisions. And when you got one of yours in the room or on the board, you tend to think that they'll represent each coast of this thing of ours, which is hip hop. And so publicly, Wayne came out and he questioned the selection. And I believe Kendrick, rightfully so, felt the way about that, but I understood both sides because while Wayne came out, he didn't disrespect Kendrick. He just basically let it known his expectations. Kendrick Lamar then comes on the song that we heard, which is the Wacced Out Murals, and we can play that. Again, I told y'all earlier in the show, I believe him flashing Wayne in the same way he flashed Drake. Like, come over here with that, and I'm gonna bury you with this. I'm gonna neutralize you, and then I'm expose you, and then I'm gonna create a narrative on you. So stay clear from that. I think that's Kendrick kind of showing his teeth like a dog, just showing him like, oh, you look over here, you see what I'm on. Stay clear. Now, I still believe Wayne to be able to run into that fire. I don't know how far it can go, but I found the clip where Joe Budden was speaking about Lil Wayne and Kendrick. I want to stop right there because either I'm missing something or we're not watching the same events take place. Let's zoom out for a minute and deal with the job that Kendrick has done as it pertains to Drake. What I need the South to know, though, all my rap, all my people getting money, my business folk, the label heads, the execs, the people that make decisions at Netflix that just come from the South, the people that at Fox News, the people at CNN, everyone involved in the culture, Amazon, anywhere you work at, where you are a decision maker and you come from the South, pay attention to these things. Because history will be written by the winners. When I hear some of my media counterparts, some of the people that's also in the industry with me speak about Kendrick Lamar and the top tier performance that he has done as it pertains to his back and forth with Drake. Kendrick has done a masterful job as it pertains to outmaneuvering Drake in this battle. Drake started very overzealous. But you know what? Me dissolving content without context is far-fetched. So I need to bring this and wrap this back around. Let's not ignore the ingredients. Kendrick couldn't do it by itself. What you guys must know, you got to come through the South to get it done. Any power move in the music industry has to come through the South. Even if that means we going to be stupid enough and let our emotions put us in a position to hand it to another coast. Right? But what I didn't appreciate about what Kendrick done, and I got a lot of respect for Kendrick, again, doing a masterful job, is that Kendrick is standing on top of the hill and his fans are standing on top of the hill and these industry pundits are sitting on top of the hill like Kendrick done something. And some of y'all are from the South and y'all are not even recognizing the cogs that's in the engine. Kendrick came down and got on a Future and Metro Boomin song to diss Drake. Kendrick didn't snipe Drake from the West Coast. He didn't get in sniper position from the West Coast. Kendrick had to get with the from the South to remove Drake from his position. This is not a scenario where Kendrick went in there with his guns blazing and just took something down. This is Kendrick using the frustration of Metro Boomin, Future, a bunch of other, because I keep telling y'all, Future is the bar none of you. And I'm from the South, so I know the importance of it. But I always hear the whispers of how you guys will leave out the South, leave out the Futures, leave out the Thugs, the QCPs, the Master P's, the Birdmans, leave out all of this shit when y'all talking. Even the people that's from the South. You get in these positions and you become so industry that you see it through the lens of the industry. This is not the first time we've dealt with these kind of scenarios taking place as it pertains to people needing the South's involvement to try to take Drake down. If you remember, Young Thug came out on Pusha T and said, why would you diss? What are you doing? You just diss Drake on a song with me, Pop Smoke, and Gunna. Because over there by yourself, it ain't going to get as much done as you needed to get done. So these guys recognize this is just an old play in a new playbook. Kendrick knew, hey, if I'm going to get at Drake, I'm going to have to do it by way of the South. That's the only way it's going to be powerful enough. Because if Kendrick would have got in the sniper position from the South and Future and them didn't sign off on it, Metro and them didn't sign off on it, which a whole wave come with that shit. If none of that signed off on it, this fight'll look different. But the moment Kendrick get the momentum, what'd he say? He still won't say Future name. He didn't throw Future back on the album. He didn't throw Metro on the album. He don't never mention them when he say something about not like us or none of that. They don't just bypass like that. Like that want the setup punch. Like that what had the whole game woozy about Drake. Like that was the scenario where they said, whoa, Future and everybody? Whoa, what the is wrong with Drake? You got Rick Ross, you got Future, Metro. Man, everybody had came out and said, yo, man, we've been holding this for a while. We've been feeling the way for a while now. And finally, we come to speak about it. You know, but they needed Future. They needed dude. But now soon Kendrick get the momentum. It's everybody. It used to be that as plural. Is that coincidence? All of a sudden now it's plural. Everybody now, it wasn't everybody want to come way down south to get with Future Metro and ride that momentum. It wasn't everybody then. And don't think I don't hear. Let me tell y'all something. I'm a in the South. So all y'all that's speaking about Southern shit and lying and all of that don't know what you're talking about. It's going to stop in 2025. I stamped that. But I hear Future. I read what Future says when he says, damn, they gonna just jump on my song and Big 3 me to death? They gonna just Big 3 me to death? Y'all gonna just keep having conversation about Big 3 as if I ain't wouldn't belt the ass? I done dropped 3 times. These folks won't even get tired of me. Listen, I just made something go viral on some yeah, man, I'm one of them so culturally implanted in this culture that none of y'all can outsurf me. And when we get into the water and you got to be cooler than me and I can make one of you corny if I'm Future, I can make any one of you rapping ass corny at the drop of a dime if I'm Future, and you gonna constantly keep big threeing me to death and not mentioning me. And guess what? I was the only on the mountain saying, yo, I'm from the South. What about Future? Yo, he got them hits. Yo, Jay came, got him. Beyonce came, got him. Rihanna came, got him. What else he need to do? He got them hits. What about Future? Oh, y'all gonna leave Future out, huh? Same shit I used to tell him about Wham. Yo, it's about damn near 100 plaques. Future damn near 100 plaques. What y'all, hey man, what y'all got going? Y'all gonna just bypass Future, huh? Y'all gonna big three without even mentioning Future. That's the subtle diss. But when y'all need to reach my people, y'all gotta come get me. When y'all need to reach the club, y'all wanna come holler at me. But I just don't want y'all to forget how we got here, man. You know, the South played a pivotal role. You know, again, if Kendrick Lamar would have sat down in that sniper position from the West Coast and shot at Drake as it pertains to these rap lyrics and this rap battle, I don't think Drake hits the ground on the first shot from nobody. I spoke about it with Simba. The scenario I give is the Royal Rumble. When you got a force as big as Drake in the Royal Rumble, it's akin to having someone in the ring like an Andre the Giant or someone 7 foot, Shaquille O'Neal, 400 pounds. There's not going to be one person to throw him over the ropes. So oftentimes, if you watch the Royal Rumble or wrestling coming up, you will see, well, when an important character get in that ring, you'll have people that ain't even on the same team up to get him out of the ring. That's how important it is that we need him out of the ring. We'll fight later. But first, let's get this big, massive behemoth of a person out of our way and then let the best man win. It's almost like we agree that now one of us ain't better than him. I think I'm better than you and you think you better than me, but we agree he better than both of us. So let's get him out of there and then me and you can go with it and let the best man win and we'll be okay with that. You literally have that type of scenario when you ask me. I wanted to kind of recalibrate the conversation, right? Because even with all the high caliber work that Kendrick Lamar has done as it pertains to his battle with Drake, I just want to be clear how we got here, right? I want to move the conversation a little bit into this area because I think Drake was dealing with public confidence and private frustration. And it's easy to do this because when you get into this industry, see, historically, Drake has used his connection with Lucian and the labels as his competitive advantage. Right? Nanny boo boo. They don't treat me like they treat you. But what Drake didn't realize is when the music stopped, that's when the real game begins. I want to deal with a little bit with how we got here and why Drake hasn't exited at this point. We heard a couple of podcasters out there speak to Drake stayed too long in the restroom. He stayed too long in the game. He stayed too long in the meeting. He stayed too long in that position. I want to kind of add some perspective to that, maybe even a little pushback. But I do think you're dealing with a dual narrative at this point. I don't think Drake was in a position to need to exit at this point. I think a lot of us, when we hear Drake filing lawsuit, and let me get right to the lawsuit. If I see this lawsuit as damage control and not strategic, then I'm with a lot of the other people. I'm not a fan of losing a battle and trying to sue as it pertains to just on some damage control type of vibe. So if I see this as you going at Kendrick, then I don't really appreciate it in the same way. And I kind of see it as a bad thing. But if I see this as business and I'm to believe that something that's been going on behind the scenes, then I view this very different. We heard Jay-Z back in the day, right? And this is where I think all of you guys are misreading the play. We would even hear Jay-Z back in the day speak to how they done Michael, how they done Prince. I think for whatever reason, Drake thought he wouldn't go through it. But if I'm to believe some of the narratives that's going on online, that Drake is filing these suits and sending paperwork because he doesn't want Kendrick Lamar to rap Not Like Us in front of a Super Bowl audience. Again, the Super Bowl audience is a totally different level. Totally different level. At some point, man, you got to do business. You can't be too cool all the way out. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a real question to be asked, especially to a lot of people that's in the industry. Like, how far do you let someone go as it pertains to defamation? It's crazy how far allegations can go. I mean, we have no one that is ultimately emerged as any victims. No one is proved to be hurt, harmed by Drake, essayed by Drake. There's been nothing that's turned out or been produced as it pertains to these allegations on Drake. Now, if you're asking Loon, the person that's doing business in media that understands how all this moves into tech because of the data aspect, and you paying with your eyeballs, again, there's layers of game. I can take 300-400 million. If you're asking me if Drake's bottom line has been affected by Not Like Us, outside of the zero sum thing we're going to get to, which is Drake telling the courts that he understands the system that Spotify and the labels are in. So when you pushing one thing, it's impossible to push another because you can only push one thing at once. You can only push one artist at once in this system that they have. And this is that top tier system that he's speaking about. He's kind of mad that they use those resources against him. And a lot of people have said, and I know that he has benefited from said resources, but I benefit off what I built. Don't y'all get recency bias and forget the boy built these platforms. Not single-handedly, but he played a massive role. The boy was one of them ones they would come give 20 million for 24 hours. Y'all don't understand that because you don't understand what customer acquisition is. Changing customer behavior is. You don't understand that they had to fight and use the most popular act of this generation. They had to use our most popular act of this generation to change our consumers' behavior. Stop them from going in the store, get them to not owning music and listening to it on the phone and to the subscription model. Apple couldn't have done that on their own. And if they could, it would have took a longer time. Spotify couldn't have done it on their own. And if they could, they would have took a long time. Jay-Z seen that that's what they needed, and he got involved with Tidal. But he went through so much red tape because they wanted a monopoly on the music industry. You will fight to get your piece of this pie because they've been having a lock and key on it for 50 years. So I benefit if I'm Drake off what I built. I built Spotify. I built Apple. I was the one that Universal would leverage my catalog. You got Larry Jackson running around to this day saying that Drake's catalog is more important and more valuable from a business perspective to these labels than some entire genres. Taylor Swift keeps the lights on. Drake keeps the lights on. Some of these people are literally the driving force behind your bottom line. But the user acquisition and changing the customer behavior is invaluable. So the idea, I built the platforms that y'all use. Me, if I'm Drake, I feel like that. I feel like I built that Spotify. And y'all gonna parade Not Like Us on there like and this is even before I fell down. This is while I'm still the highest streaming artist. So they playing in his face. And if I can see it from that perspective, I view it different. But if I see Drake as a sore loser, like a lot of these guys that's in media and in the industry and that's talking, that's a different perspective. And so again, it just kind of depends on it just kind of depends on how I see the lawsuit. Again, I know the business behind it. I'm trying to give Drake the benefit of the doubt and kind of, see what transpires and see exactly where he's at with it, how far he's willing to go, and also the response from Universal. You didn't see them come out and say that those claims are unfound, that he's biased. They did try to say that, the fans choose, but that ain't definitively saying that lawsuit is BS. We're done working with him. He's a valuable asset, bro. He's a valuable asset. And for people that's out there that's acting like he's not, you're looking nasty because you're showing that you really hate this dude, Drake. And I'm new in the industry, so I don't know why everybody hate Drake. I'm coming in like, yo, why everybody hate the Drake? What happened? What did he do? Because if truth be told, a lot of these dudes is assholes. A lot of these dudes is selfish. A lot of these dudes are full of shit. There ain't a relationship that's worth enough for me to compromise my ability to sleep at night. I ain't gonna be able to look over certain things. I ain't gonna be able to deal with certain things because people got a level of fame, status, stature, position with these people. I never liked Drake parading his institutional attributes around in the game. Because it's the backing, man. It's the backing. It's a lot of people right now that don't know how to build shit, but they're in a position of power. Let's deal with Drake's exit. I spoke about it a little bit earlier, but I think I want to add a little bit more perspective to it. When we deal with Drake, I'm not sure that it was time for him to exit. I want to spend some time giving a brief detail as to Drake's career and what I think the business behind some of this looks like. Number one, you got to remember that Drake came in a scenario where he was involved with Cash Money Records. Cash Money has been what we grew up on. It's been a staple in the game. It's a very deep-rooted, resourceful, successful label. But Cash Money Records has a historical context that I'm not sure anyone that grew up in my area is missing. And they have a history of contract disputes. Notably with Lil Wayne, who actually found Drake, which I would say Drake saved Lil Wayne's career. Because he was definitely in a position where they had took all his confidence because of the business behind it. And Drake is going through this now where you will be drained by this business. See, everything been clicking on high cylinders. Now you got to deal with this business. They ain't helping you. They ain't doing what they supposed to. That will take a creative and smush him. It'll smush a creator. But Lil Wayne sued Cash Money in 2015 for unpaid royalties. What was going on in Cash Money in 2015? Drake was already on the scene. Remember all summer 16? Drake was already doing tremendous at this point. So you have to remember that Drake came in a system where Lil Wayne had just had problems after riding with Baby, after BG, Manny Fresh, Juvenile, and all of the rest of the label came out and said, yo, we're having problems being paid. So what my point of saying that is that I believe Drake to have been passed down some of those contractual complexities. I don't think that his contract on his entry was absent of some of those practices that had everybody running from that Birdman scenario. But the cosign that Drake got from Cash Money, it was a pivotal moment in his career, and it secured his place in the music industry. But it also did this. It locked him in a series of binding agreements, not only with Cash Money, but he had one with Jay Prince. Then you want Universal that want some because they're now about to unload the bank in you and market you and put you in position, which all these industry people know you got to go through a system to get in the system. When you're dealing with recording contracts, they often favor the label because they're often drew up by the label. Whoever draws the contract up, a lot of times it favors them, and you got a red line and try to represent your interests in there. But traditionally in the music business, the recording contracts favor the label. The artist receives advances, right? And it has to be recouped through album sales, merchandise, things like that. You have to get on the road and get the money. Here's where everything switched, and this is what made Drake so important. I don't know how confident I am in saying that Drake has the team to go against Universal, and I am confident enough to say that he has leverage. And while we haven't seen a lot of companies come out via Drake, which I think is a mistake, and now looking back, he probably says it's a mistake. I'll get to why I think he made that mistake here in a second. But I don't think Drake gets enough credit for maneuvering through that Jay Prince, the Young Money, Cash Money, essentially dismantling the labors of the intermediaries. Like, so he can deal directly with Universal Republic. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. You know, some people say the talent to do it. I don't believe that. Look how talented R. Kelly was, right? So there has to be a level of business acumen that gets you from A to B. He dismantled the entire intermediaries that were dealing with him as it pertains to him dealing direct with Universal Republic. But now when you get to Universal and Republic and you have some of these disputes with them, this is like the final boss. They played a long game, right? And so I think Drake's confidence in his ability to renegotiate and outmaneuver and outsmart some of these deals, I think that he thought he was going to take the same game that got him away from Jay, Prince, got him up under from Cash Money, Young Money. I think he thought that those maneuvers would still land him with his leverage in a place where he would get a more favorable deal and represent his interests at the negotiating table. It's almost like he could have been blinded by his past wins. Because Universal is the final boss. This is something you can't play with. This the big dog. I want to look at a few more clips of Joe's perspective on it, and we're going to add a little bit more context to that. Pay attention. Gist of this is these gentlemen are saying that not sure if Drake really even knows his value, right? It's not a clear-cut, concise point ever been made that Drake understands his value outside of the machine. And again, the historical context is Drake's always used the machine to boast on the rest of the market because they had to use him to build the streaming platforms. It's almost like the house. But I want to talk about formula. And I want to talk about how if there were any label disputes, it felt like Drake always played them close to the chest. But something tells me that Drake may understand more than what he has led on about his value. Because again, if I'm going in the back room somewhere, I've been in this game now 10, 15 years. I'm starting to understand what the 100 gigs generated. I'm starting to understand what apps are doing. I'm starting to understand how they're moving around with data. I was one of the only podcast dudes that came out and said, oh, all y'all business guys just missed a very important part of Kanye West. When Kanye West was going into those label meetings with Gap and all these other places, he was saying something very important. Yo, I have 3 million emails, actively buying emails. And that was before he went direct to consumer. I can imagine what he has now. But while he was with Gap and Adidas and all of these different things, he at least knew if I leave here with nothing, I'm at least leave with my customer base. The people that sign up when my name is used. You ever see a podcaster say, sign up and use code? That's because that's a tracking service in place. But when we're dealing with Drake, imagine if Drake had the kind of mindset to understand and have every email from every person that has interacted and signed up via his product, service, or music since he started. Or since streaming started. What if he had someone around him then like a Jay who was building Tidal, who maybe they had a relationship, and this is why alliances are much more important than enemies. You want to build alliances, but it get hard building alliances in this industry because these dudes are suckers. And I say that respectfully to my people because my people is if you see me with them, that mean I co-sign them. I love them. I got love for them. But for the most part, bro, a lot of these dudes are suckers. But imagine if Drake could have been in a scenario where he was able to talk to Jay-Z, able to iron some of those things out, able to be in a scenario where Jay could have told him, yo, make sure you getting those emails. These are the people that are spending money with you. They're moving and signing up and downloading apps and shit because you are there. Kanye West moved around with 3 million. It's no telling what Drake would have had. But you have podcasters like Joe and others speaking to Drake not knowing his value outside of the system. I think Drake understands his value outside of the system, and that's why you haven't seen him unload anything yet. That's why you haven't seen him get into his mogul era like you seen Jay-Z. What I also want to speak to is I believe Jay-Z had exited at a time where his decline was inevitable. And not decline as far as money and stature, but just his audience was getting smaller. Because he no longer was appealing to the youth. He had went grown man rap, and when you go grown man rap, you can't go back. And so I contribute Jay-Z helping to grow the grown man audience of that entire genre. Like he went on I'm wearing suits and all these different vibes. And so unlike Jay, I believe Drake still have been someone that was topping the charts. He's still the most streaming artist in the world. So for him, he thinks with the formula we got in place, I'm going to be okay because I'm still at the top. It ain't time for me to hit an exit yet. It ain't time for me to go left yet. That's what I think about how we got here. And again, the defamation, the strategic move to try not to have Kendrick perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl, I have to view that different. But let's deal with the business side of it. I would like to explore the fact that I truly believe Drake bought into the label-driven formula. I also believe that Drake understood that it wasn't the lion's share, or it may not even be what his worth was, but it was a formula. A lot of times when you're doing business, you're looking for something concrete so you can know exactly what to push for. It's almost like say you someone on the West Coast that sell flour. Universally, we have agreed that 28 grams is an ounce. And so therefore, I know if I get 36 ounces, I have a key. And that's anywhere in the world because that's the formula. Now, the price might change. The numbers might go up. The cost of it. You may have to pay more to get it from Mexico to California than you do to get it from California to Tennessee. Right? And so there's other details involved with it. But ultimately, there's a formula that dictates the outcome. So the $400 million deal, it may sound massive, but when you put it in the context of the dominance and the industry infrastructure built on his back, it's clear that it's significant money left on the table. So if you ask me, the issue isn't just the number, it's the formula that was designed for the label's long-term benefit, not his. So Drake essentially became the engine for the system, fueling Universal's growth, right? As it pertains to Apple, Spotify, again, the user acquisition and customer behavior. But I think he reflected on his value mid-contract. I don't take Drake to be incompetent. So as you know, a lot of these industry guys are taking him to be someone that fell asleep at the wheel. I think he's strategic. I think it's possible he's holding back certain moves because he's waiting on the right moment and he's about to play a global game. I think it's akin to because I grew up off wrestling. I think it's akin to Hulk Hogan. I remember a time, and I can't remember exactly what interview it was, but Jay-Z was like, yo, we don't have to end our relationship. We got to recalibrate. And it feels like that's what Drake is. If I take these suits at face value, right? But I think comparing Drake to Jay-Z and the exit strategy, it just highlights a misunderstanding about Drake, right? I don't think it's because he's incapable. I think he's in the middle of a power struggle. It separates him from Jay-Z. It isn't about grace, it's about timing. You know, the lion don't roar on the hunt. The kill. It waits until the kill. Jay-Z didn't have the same streaming model for contractual expectations like Drake. Drake's dominance led him to believe that he had a position at the table. He created a new industry standard with UMG. You guys got to remember, again, he helped build these platforms, and it feels like he's saying that, yo, y'all weaponizing the shit I built against me. Like, I helped y'all build this and y'all weaponizing it. I don't think the Drake comparison to Jay is good. Jay rapped about grown man balls. Drake can literally shape shift. He got all kind of styles. And that's why I think they've underestimated him playing that global game. Y'all made fun of Drake when he was doing all these different accents and appealing to all of these different things, all these different styles in the Caribbean and London and all these different things. It's because he probably knew my exit strategy is the global game and I build a real competitor. There can be interest from the oil money. There can be interest from Saudi Arabia. When we look at boxing, we see the guy, Turkey's Al Sheikh, who they call Your Excellency, and what he's doing in boxing. Like Al Heyman, all of y'all, the only thing that's holding them together is the contracts they have them boxing people binded in. Because dude's spending the money. He's adding infrastructure, spending the money, adding elements to the shows that is just literally undeniable. And Drake artistry isn't limited by genre. While Universal may have a stronghold In America's market, I truly believe on the global scale, Drake can literally bring up a competitor, much like it's almost like Hogan going to WCW. I remember because I was young when this happened, I remember watching wrestling as a young boy. And I think Drake in this time right now is kind of like Hogan, where some of the creative control Hulk Hogan was dealing with WWE, he just couldn't find it in himself to stay there. And he had to take a leap of faith and go to WCW. And then what did he find out when he went to WCW? Oh, he made WCW bigger than WWE. Because when he left, guess who else came? Next thing you know, the NWO was over there. Next thing you know, the bad boy attitude era has to take it back. But for a minute, WCW was a real force to be reckoned with. Not only Hogan, Bret Hart, all of them went over there, but from a business perspective, those conversations with your flagship act, which is Hulk Hogan, you reach a stalemate with the guy that you built this thing off of. You built WrestleMania off of him. You built all these different genres and matches and storylines surrounding him. And then he comes in to try to say, let's bring it in and let me have some creative control. You push back. From a business perspective, when Hulk Hogan left WWE and went to WCW, WWE lost market share. Because the brand that was Hulk Hogan could help an infrastructure be a real competitor. And I believe that Universal has to take that notion into consideration. When you think about it, you say, yo, this dude is acting. You've never saw him act. And y'all think it's because he want to be cool? No. It's because I'm not unloading the rest of this shit until I get out of this. I'm gonna adopt their formula. The formula they gave me, 400 mil, I'm going to go on tour. I'm going to stay out on the road. I'm going to do all of these things that I really don't want to do. But the formula, the brick is 28. The brick is 36 ounces. And they told me that at the beginning. So every time I get 36 ounces, I give them a brick back. So I keep bringing them 36 ounces. And now they done moved the goalpost while the ball is in the air. That's what it feels like he's saying. Let's not misunderstand. Drake is a Jewish kid. He has access to some cultural bridges that most of you don't have, that most black rap don't have, that most of the entertainment industry don't have. I think that needs to be spoke to when we speak about Drake and the scenario that he finds himself in. I also think in this industry, a lot of these dudes, grown men, are doing a disservice. Like when you see me, I'm going to ask you about the game. What you doing, baby? What's next? Let me hear something. How you tying it in with tech? You need to have with you with a camera. What they doing? They ain't doing. Make sure they, man, go on get the camera. I'm going to always be trying to give you some game. Because I'm trying to deposit into you. I'm trying to let you know, man, you on a legendary run. We got to take advantage of all aspects. We can make 10 more millionaires out of what you got going. Without you even being affected. Without you even had to lift a finger. A rapper should have 10, 15 millionaires around him at all time, and not off his money, off jobs that they have created if he a superstar. You dig? It should be product and shit constantly moving around. You should have media in your camp. You should have graphic designers. Like, it's so many different jobs you should always have in your camp that's keeping your brand at a situation where you're making money and keeping you visible.
On the suit, don't sound far-fetched.
No. Let me. They're not far-fetched.
No, he may be able to prove
standard
them.
Well,
practice.
it's not for
No,
first.
but who just fired everybody and consolidated.
Theory that Drake has been holding back. Right? There's a couple theories floating around that he has albums in the tuck. We haven't really seen him venture out in business. We've seen him only work on appeal, because appeal for him is something that he would need even on his exit. At some point, some of his fans say the music suffers, but I've always been on the other side wondering about the business side of it. Like, why don't we see him utilizing his power and celebrity to light his own fires in his own barn, in his own building, in his own fireplace? Granted, everybody around Drake is well took care of, but there's a position that you can find yourself in this industry where the money is not what you need. And so if I believe that, then I believe Drake's true power is not even in what he's done. It's in what he's withheld. You don't find it fishy that a dude that come up acting hasn't did one acting thing, period. Because I don't want to take away from the music. But all of those things, in my opinion, still exist. He just has to be an architect. You got to remember when the spotlight fades, right? And that's what every artist has to remember. When the spotlight fades, the only thing left is the stage that you built. Yeah, Universal taking their stage with them. Yeah, Capitol Records, they taking their stage with them. Republic Records, Warner Brothers, they taking their stage with them when the spotlight dim. But if you happen to have built the stage yourself, if you had happened to thought about yourself, oftentimes you can end up pray and not even know you pray. You think they praying with you, they praying on you. And so you think the fight is with other rappers and shitting on other rappers and not getting over there and helping these people or doing nothing for these people. Yo, the real fight is with the infrastructure. And those of you that's lapdogs in this industry, you are not excluded from this. You could be a good old boy and they could just wake up one day and say, I'm done with it, doing it that way. Let's see what you got on your own. You've been moving around with them emails of the people that's bought shirts. We've been selling shirts for you for 25 years. When you got your leverage together, you never made one, because we got it. If I'm iHeart, I got it. If I'm Spotify, I got it. If I'm Apple, I got it. What info are you passing down to your children? Don't be a dude that's just passing down LLCs. It's so easy to get caught up thinking that you got to worry about the hunter, man, when the true enemy is the forest. The true enemy is the elements they going to use that to camouflage to get you. Right? The true enemy is the industry, even if you at the top of the industry. And that's for rap music. You got to remember that this whole infrastructure, and we talking about market share. This is high level business talk. This is peak perspective. This is not for the casual. This is peak. It never set right with me, man. And, you know, I laugh like the rest of the industry and the rest of the people in this game. When I would hear DJ Khaled say, I like what Drake likes. I know what he mean when he say that. But I don't like to hear that. And the reason I don't like to hear it is not because I'm a hater of Drake or I don't want Drake to get that kind of recognition. It's because for me, where I come from, it feel like you trying to play on me. You know how to stroke my ego. To me, you doing him a disservice. When he's in that position he's in, yeah, let him know he's great. Give him his flowers while he can smell them. I understand that. But you don't want a room full of yes men. I like what you like. I like what you like. You need dudes around that's asking, hey, what you thinking? How we living? What's next? How we getting in the tech? You heard Kanye. See, you need like me, boy. I'm so on top of this shit. I be hearing shit, man. You heard Kanye say he got 4 million emails. Old casual, that go right past him. He don't even know what Kanye West saying. When he say, yo, I'm moving around with, so for me, I'm knowing I'm putting 2 and 2, because I'm running a subscription game. I'm just a mini Netflix. I done peeped the game, everybody. Y'all ain't running off and leaving me. I know how y'all is making this shit, this media entertainment business is really tech. And when they say tech, they just mean a big ad company. People need to know people's interests. The next 15 or 20 years will be about whoever has the data on people's interests, which makes it a seamless transition to get ads in front of them. People are spenders, especially black people. Like, it's a lot wrapped into this, bro. It's peak perspective. It's high level game. But I'm trying to tell y'all that you got to remember when the spotlight fade, the only stage that's left is the one that you built. So y'all let me know in the comments. Do y'all believe Drake is suing to try to control the narrative? Is there something to the zero-sum game fallacy, right? By pushing another artist at Drake's expense? Or is this about to be the great reset of the music industry? Because he's kind of exposing the pay-to-play system that is in place still to this day. And, of course, it's illegal to pay to play. I think I gave y'all enough today on this topic, right? This is a good long one for my Patreon people. I love y'all. You see what I'm saying? Stay tapped in with us, man. We dropping every single day now. Salute to y'all. Share this on socials. Let your people know this is where the game is being laid down at. It's Up There podcast. You know what I'm saying? Big Loon, man. I'm just putting the game down. I appreciate everybody that rock with me. I love y'all, man. For life, for life, for life.